Thrasher is a game by the guys that made Thumper. We're going to briefly touch on that, and then we're going to jump right into Thrasher. So Thrasher was developed by ex-Harmonix Games employees Mark Mandel and Brian Gibson. Brian started working at Harmonix back when Amplitude was released, with Mark joining shortly after for Karaoke Revolution and the first Guitar Hero release. Both lasted until the Dance Central era before moving on to create their own company, Drool. The guys got together and, well, after a 7-year-long development, they made this masterpiece, Thumper. Gibson was in charge of the music and the art, with Flurry in charge of the gameplay mechanics and designing the game's proprietary engine. It's a game with its own genre, which they deemed
a rhythm violence game.
At its core, it's a creepy and artistic call-and-response rhythm game with a creepy, futuristic aesthetic and an interesting use of polyrhythms and additive rhythms to make the player feel uneasy. It worked too. The whole time you're playing Thumper, you feel this weight in your chest as your toes crunch up for your entire playthrough. It's an exhausting game and one of the most memorable things I've played in my entire life, and the vast majority of that feeling stems from the audio design. I extensively covered everything there is to do with this game and its development in my Thumper video, so I'll just cut this right here, but imagine my excitement a little over a year and a half ago when I saw the weird trailer for their next game release, Thrasher. So at first glance with this trailer, it's impossible to really tell what's going on, but you can absolutely see the ties to Thumper through Brian's visual and audio design, and that's enough for me. I got halfway through the trailer, closed it off, and decided I'd play it for myself to figure out what the heck this is. So on that note, it's now out, so let's get right into it. This is Thrasher. We talked about Mark Flurry earlier on, but he actually played no role in this game's development. Instead, Brian teamed up with somebody new, Mike Mandel. He too worked at Harmonix, but only doing programming work for Beatles Rock Band and Rock Band 3. Aaron Egazy is also in the credits as a special thanks. He's one of the founders of Harmonix who got started with Alex when the Axe released. It was surprising then to find out that this is in fact not a rhythm game, and was developed under a new team name, Puddle. Thrasher is played using one VR controller or one human hand with hand tracking, which you use to drag around on the screen. This causes the creepy Thumper background effect space eel to follow your hand like a ribbon, delayed in the same way a ribbon is when you're ribbon dancing if you do that. It's extremely satisfying, but I just hope I can properly articulate why it feels so good. The way you can slowly maneuver it around the area or quickly snap it towards targets is so effortless, perfect, and it feels like a natural extension of your body in the best way. What's the point of pulling this thing around in the first place though? Well, it's quite simple. There's targets that you need to hit, and there's targets that you need to avoid. The space eel feeds on beams of light, and consuming that light causes it to grow larger, like you're playing Snake, until it's large enough to defeat the Leviathan boss battle for that stage. There's 3 stages for each chapter, with a total of 9 chapters. Each stage has 10 zones as well, so if you're not counting, that's a total of 270 separate challenges to play through and perfect. Though it's definitely worth mentioning that each zone for each stage does look and play extremely similarly to the corresponding zone of the previous stage. What I mean by that is you'll see a bunch of the same levels with increasing difficulty, more enemy types, and different power-up setups as you play. More on that soon though. In layman's terms, the goal is to only hit the targets that you're supposed to hit, and to do so as quickly and safely as possible to get those high ratings. You need to quickly, accurately, and strategically rave dance your way through this game with perfection. If you go too slow, you're out, because that's what happens when your timer hits 1 minute. You die. That 1 minute timer really is the primary game mechanic here. You have 1 minute to complete all 10 stages, but not really. You get time added to that 1 minute timer every time you do well in a level, and the amount of time is dependent on how quickly you finish the level and how well you streak your multiplier combos during the level. Speaking of multiplier combos, combos are a huge part of this game, but you have to perform a circly flip to activate them. The circly flip really sets you into this rhythm game like flow state, zipping the little eel around in constant circles to keep your combo rolling. The combos act as a score and time multiplier, and that's how you chase the leaderboard scores. So you really want to play each of these stages while constantly flowing around in circles, perfectly hitting the glass targets and avoiding the bad ones. At the moment, I've only played through this game once, yet I was still snagging top leaderboard spots even 2 weeks after launch. Either I'm amazing at this game, which I doubt, or this can be taken as proof that this isn't really selling particularly well, which is really sucky if that's the case. Early levels are quite easy, mostly letting you get a feel for the controls, but soon enough you'll have that feel for it. Likewise, later stages can be hard as hell. You're clearly not supposed to, but if you want to take it slow and strategic for the start, ignoring the combo counter and ratings, you can get through most of the challenges like that, and it's still fun. Just make sure your timer doesn't run out. The game really shines when you're chasing those high scores and leaderboards though. Quickly snapping the space eel left and right around the screen while carefully avoiding obstacles makes you really space your eyes out the same way you have to when you're playing a rhythm game. It's pure instinct. You feel weirdly connected to this little eel. There's still a bit more to this than just swimming around and hitting stuff to cool visuals though, so let's get into the power-ups. These come in two forms, one being a legitimate power-up in the same vein as a twin-stick shooter would have, which exclusively consists of the slow-mo that gets activated the second that you touch it, and the other power-up type being an endlessly respawning power-up that plays a major role in each level and zone's design. This starts with the dash power-up, which is used extensively starting in World 3. Grabbing one of these lets you hold the trigger to freeze in place, pull your cursor to where you want to dash to, and then let go to smash through red targets that would have otherwise damaged you. This too will get harder later on once the spiky red things appear. These hurt you even while you're dashing. What I mean by being part of the game's design is they aren't really optional. If there's a blue circle surrounded by a red circle, for example, you have no choice but to grab the dash power-up and smash through both. These power-ups never stop respawning, so it's just a matter of swimming back and forth from power-up to target. It's super fun to use. In World 6 though, you get the shoot power-up, which totally disables the dashes. This doesn't do what you would think it would do. It doesn't just let you push the trigger to shoot. Instead, it auto-shoots the second your space eel touches the power-up, and you've got to smash through the power-up with speed in order for it to activate. This means you've got to position yourself properly in order to accurately curve your trajectory and cause the bullets to fly at your targets. At first, this seems impossible to do, but after a couple botched attempts, you get a feel for it and learn to curve your bullets properly to aim and hit the targets. A good way to describe it is that the eel is your hand floating in a pool, and the bullets are the waves that you create with that hand. You quickly hit the power-up to cause a ripple of bullets splashing towards the enemies. Then there's this one where you touch it and it temporarily freezes the game for a small amount of time and lets you dash through enemies. This is similar to the dash power-up, but it's activated automatically and releases automatically. Using this one is more of a timing challenge and feels like you're wielding a sick sword slicing through the red targets. Then, the ball. This one, you've got to smack into at the correct angle to knock it into things, Rocket League style. It takes some getting used to, but the ball's radius is large enough that a well-placed hit can clear a huge amount of obstacles. Honestly, the trick to this one is to just not think too much about it. Just go in for the hit, and naturally your arm is going to hit it in the right direction. I found any time I really tried to aim the thing, I would miss. And then there's this other power-up that you can go through and you get this magical evil shield around you that lets you smash through the reds. It causes no changes or pauses to your movement and deactivates super quickly, so you've got to hit it and go eliminate what you need to as quickly as you possibly can. By the time you're at the last couple stages of this game, you'll be juggling all of these power-ups at the same time, depending on the stage, and it honestly turns into more of a fast-paced puzzle game. You've got to figure out which power-up to use to free the other power-up which you need to use to complete the stage. The last half of this game really is the best part. Another cool, fun thing about the power-ups is that if they have a respawning shield around them, once you break that shield and then use the power-up and a new one respawns, it resets that shield timer. This means you can keep chasing the mandatory power-up spawns to spam them if you want to keep your focus on the power-up. If you take too long, you gotta break the shield again though. I should add, the mandatory power-ups aren't technically mandatory. You do have a default attack in the form of the circly flip. If you manage to circle all the way around an enemy quickly, you kill them. This is extremely hard to do though, especially when the stages start getting cluttered in the later levels, but it's useful if you manage to find a rare opportunity to do it. Thrasher is designed to stress you out, but you've really got to remain calm. A good way to do that is to just get comfy and lay down, which is actually one of the best things about this game. It works perfectly fine sitting, standing, or yeah, laying down if you enable that in the experimental features of the quest menu. It never requires you to physically rotate your body any more than basic head turns, and even if you do, there's nothing of any interest behind you. And honestly, that might sound like it makes for the most worthless VR game ever, but it's exactly what I want out of a VR game personally. It's easy to forget about your quest and let it start to collect dust, but having the ability to toss it on for a couple quick 1-minute rounds while you're just laying in bed is so nice. Ah, right, the Leviathans. So each world has a Leviathan boss battle at the end of each stage, and in all of these you get an enormous difficulty spike compared to the prior levels. There's a couple Leviathan rounds at the end of each level, and they'll definitely challenge your skills a lot. They all play pretty much the same though. A loud air horn is played to signal the approaching boss battle. Then, a creepily designed thing rises up in front of you, and immediately, a quick wave challenge needs to be completed. These mostly play like the other challenges, but they're just a lot harder. Once it's done, the final wave of the fight will involve the Leviathan spawning a little bomb thing, which is going to be hard to hit. That's how you attack the guy though. You just figure out how to hit the little bomb thing to send it hurling into him. You feel like an absolute legend every time you pull this off, mostly due to, yet again, the visual and audio design. That explosion sound mixed with the pause and the 3D effects spiraling out of the screen is just so sick. The footage you're seeing on the screen doesn't even come close to how cool this game is in VR. For the rankings, you're rated with a score of either C, B, A, S, or S+. You get a C just for completing the stage within that 1 minute timer, a B by completing it without dying, an A for completing it without damage, an S for completing it with one or more combos in your run, and an S+ for combo streaking your way through the entire stage by doing those circly flips, obviously also requiring no damage or deaths as well. This really is a game I'm going to be playing for weeks to S+ everything, just like Thumper. But it wouldn't take me weeks if it just simply had a wave select. This is honestly the one and only bad thing about this game. If you want to S+ all the waves in a stage, you need to do so in linear order. You can make your way all the way up to stage 9 without taking damage if you want. If you get hit once by something unfair, you're forced to restart all the way back from wave 1 again, or cut your losses and complete the stage imperfect. This is truly brutal for completionists. What's worse is that when you restart the stage, there's no separated wave scores, which means you just lose all your progress. Over in the Discord, the developers mentioned they're planning on adding a retry option, but not necessarily a wave select. Lack of individual wave scores also means there's no leaderboards for waves, only levels. I get it though. The entire game is based around having that 1 minute timer to complete all the 10 waves. Still, good luck getting 100% S+ on any of these stages, let alone stage 9. This one's just freaking stupid. Right now, Thrasher is a VR exclusive, and annoyingly only on the Quest 2 and 3, as well as the Vision Pro, but nobody bought that. There's hand tracking, which feels good to use, but honestly it's much less accurate if you're going for high scores. There's no mixed reality features, and again, there's no reason to turn around. As much as VR is definitely not necessary for this game, it, like Thumper, adds so much to the game by just being inside of this world instead of the real world. The way the low synths and general soundscape builds and forms with the gameplay, and the way the 3D visuals float around in front of your face is really and truly how this game should be experienced. Don't have VR though? No problem. Thrasher is set to receive a 2D mode when it launches on Steam in December of 2024. No word on a PlayStation release yet, but honestly, I can't imagine playing this without a motion controller or a PlayStation Move, I guess. And I'm not sure gyro or a touchpad are accurate enough for it. I suppose we'll see though. Out of all the VR games I've ever played, Thrasher has made me put the headset on consistently more than anything else. Is it the best VR game of all time? Well, maybe. For me, at the moment, yes. Fast-paced challenges, electronic music, trippy neon visuals, power-ups, a stressful timer, the ability to play while stationary, tight controls, no motion sickness, and an enormous amount of replayability make this a high runner-up on the VR tier list. If you like this video, then please do that, or go check out the other videos. I got a ton of game coverage in a similar style to this one, but anyway, that's all for now. So thanks for watching, guys. Love ya, and peace.